Well, how y'all are? It's your buddy George Jones with the next installment on 8. I got this old used gun, part 2, which is assembly, disassembly, U.S. Carbine caliber 30 M1. So we're going to take a look at the old U.S. Carbine caliber 30 M1 right here in just a second, as soon as I can get me a little concentration going here in my gun room, or as my wife calls it, that smelly hole down there he keeps all of his crap. Okay, so here we go. U.S. Carbine caliber 30 M1. Nice World War II era sling, except it's a replica. Doesn't take anything. Right. Believe it or not, the only thing that holds the carbine together is this band right here. It's where your sling swivel is at. This band is what's called Type 2. The Type 1 band has the screw here, and it also holds the sling swivel on. I like Type 2. It works a lot better. We'll get us a screwdriver here. Loosen that band, just like that. You've got a little keeper right here that's a piece of spring steel that inserts through the side of the stock and goes almost all the way through it, and it also works as the retainer for your front band if you can get it unscrewed loose enough. Well, I'm working on it here. There we go. Slide that guy off fire. So let's slide it up the barrel because it's retained by the front side. It won't come off. Take your top cover off. And then simply lift the gun, lift the whole action out of the barrel like that. And there's a piece of metal that's retained in the stock. This is your retainer trunnion, or your trunnion. Just like that. We'll lay that guy aside. Now over here on the this pin is used to hold your trigger group and receiver together, and it just sits in there. There's no retainer on it or anything, and it'll just generally just fall out and the gun will fall apart. Okay, and then you're left with your trigger group, trigger assembly, which is this. Okay, now to get the action apart, first remove your springing guide, which is your recoil spring. That's this piece here, and just grab a hold of it and push it back, pull it out of this little detent and pull it out, and there it is. Next, bring your slide back, your slide and op rod assembly. There's a little detent right there, a little notch. Pull it back to there, and it'll derail. When that happens, the slide will fall off. Now, how this works is, up here, let's get a pointer. Up here we have the 2 lugs on the bolt on the slide that run in the guides up here. Okay, and on one side there's a notch in that guide right there, and that allows one of these, well, one on this side as a matter of fact, to drop out and the mechanism come out of off its rails. Next is the bolt. The bolt simply rotates and then twists and comes out. On the bridge in the receiver, there's a notch right here on this bridge. which is the part of the rifle that's, part of the casting that's milled, that keeps the receiver from spreading under stress. That bridge has got a little notch on it, that corresponds with the lug on your firing pin. And that allows it to pass through the bridge and reassemble. That's basically field stripping the M1 rifle, M1 carbine. Okay, pretty simple operation. The way the carbine works is this is your gas block. When you fire the round, bullet moves forward, passes the gas block. Gas pressure from behind the bullet is vented off, okay, into a little expansion chamber, and allows the gas piston to be driven with force to the rear. Okay, see how that guy goes back there like that? This is Marsh Williams's contribution to the .30 caliber carbine. It's this short stroke gas piston. This little guy is an absolute marvel of firearms engineering. Because an M14 rifle and a BM59 works exactly the same way. The M1 rifle works very similar, except the op rod and the piston are all connected, all one piece metal. But this little guy, figuring this out, was a real advancement in automatic weapons. That in turn pushes against this part, okay, that drives that to the rear, causes the bolt to unlock and go to the rear, come back forward, strip one out, and lock back in. And that's the way a carbine works, in a nutshell. It's probably too simple. Just to tell you the truth, that simplicity allows it to work under just unimaginable conditions. Snow, mud, sleet, hail, bad weather, good weather, cold weather, sandy conditions, wet, underwater. It just keeps right on going. It's more reliable than an AK. It'll work under just about any conditions. Alright, now to reassemble. First thing we do is put a bolt back in. Little slot in the bridge right there. Okay. Corresponds with that lug on the back of the bolt to the back of the firing pin. Put that guy back in there. Slips right through there. Bring it up. Just like that. Now, the next thing is I come up here and get my op rod. Put it in the way. My hand's in the way. Can't see what I'm doing. Spit again. Link these back together. Bring it up here. Find your cut with the guide lug. There we go. Find your cut with the guide lug. Stick it back together. Now you're back together. Okay? Just like that. Come over here. Get your spring and guide. Okay? Now the wiggly part of the spring actually goes inside the receiver. There's a cut, a boring, all the way down on the inside of the receiver where the wiggly part of the spring goes. Just goes in there like that. That stud on the end of there goes into that little detent that's in your slide assembly. Now, put your trigger group back on. See this cut here, this lug, the dovetail on it. Corresponds to the dovetail on your trigger group. You simply mesh that dovetail back together and make sure that your yoke goes into the little stud on the front and that your hole lines up. Okay? See the hole up here? Now, on this side, on the right side of the trigger assembly where it goes onto the yoke in the front, is cut out a little bit extra to accommodate this pin. And that pin just drops in there. Now, when the gun is together, the only thing holding that pin in there is the inside walls of the stock cut out. So when you're putting this guy back together, you have to be careful to hold it up in such a manner as that pin will stay in there. You come back there, take the lug hook on the back of the stock, on the back of the receiver, and hook it in your stock trunnion, and it just drops back in, just like that. And then all you got to do, come over here and get your top cover, and it's got a little piece of metal on it. That metal corresponds to a band and a groove right here. That in there like that. Slide your stock assembly back together, put your band back on it. Slide your band on there, just like that. Okay, get your screwdriver, tighten it back up. Get about as tight as you can. There you go. And then replace your sling on the front. And people often ask me, Dad, why do you keep the slings so tight on your guns, on your rifles? Well, the reason why I keep the slings so tight on all the rifles is because when you put them in the gun safe, they don't get tangled up with each other. And that's basically disassembly of the U.S. rifle caliber 30 M1. And then you place your magazine, which I got nice World War II double magazine taped together with friction tape because they didn't have black electrical tape in World War II. Now, one other thing I'd like to mention before we quit. Original M1 rifles have a crossbolt safety, like this one. But this is an auto ordnance. It's crossbolt safety. You got to remember when you're trying to get it on safe or off of safe, not to actually reach up here and push on the wrong button and drop your magazine out. Okay? Later carbines had a switch lever. Eliminated that problem. Alright, boys and girls. That's the end of part 2 of, hey, I got this old used gun. U.S. Carbine Caliber 30 M1. Well, we'll see y'all for part 3. Bye now.